to show on the road?
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to our October South Range Board of Education meeting. If you could, I'd like to start by standing for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Neary, if you call the roll for us, please.
Shelly Calucci.
Here.
Terry Loud.
Here.
Amy White.
Here.
Elizabeth Johnson.
Here.
Brian Bagwell.
Here. So those of you that have been coming for a while, you might notice if you grabbed one of the agendas, we're kind of changing things a little bit. So this is what's called a consent agenda. We've kind of been doing that, especially for personnel. You know, if you're familiar, we read through all the personnel items and then vote one time at the end. That's the same thing we're going to do for the items that, per our board policy, we're allowed to lump into one thing. So instead of reading through everything, going back through, and then voting on everything individually, we're going to read through. Well, as you can see, we're going to first approve the agenda, read through all the items, and then at the end of the items that are allowed to be lumped into consent, we're going to vote one time. The hope is that that's going to allow or maybe stimulate a little more discussion on the part of the board, you know, as we get other items that come up. Stuff tonight probably isn't going to be too much to discuss. And then you'll see after the consent vote, there are certain items that are not per our board policy allowed to be lumped into that. So some of the trips and things of that nature we vote on separately, like you're probably used to seeing. So just want to give you a heads up. You didn't come to the wrong meeting. We're just doing it a little bit different and see how it goes. So the first item on this new agenda is the approval of the agenda. And if there was any questions or changes that anybody has seen that need to change, now would be the time. Or if there's anything that needs pulled out, like if there's a family member that's going to be voted on or something that we need to have somebody abstain from, or they feel they need to abstain, this is the point where we would pull it out prior to approving the agenda. So if there was nothing, we just needed a motion to approve this agenda.
I'll move.
Amy moves.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to the superintendent communications.
Yeah, all right. Before we get to the exciting part of the night, I did want to communicate to the board, we do have a new administrative guideline that goes with policy 7250 for dedicating school facilities to certain individuals. We talked about coming up with criteria, and we were able to collaborate with Neola. We're very excited about this administrative guideline that we already have the policy. Now we have an EG to utilize in the future if we were to dedicate school property to certain individuals, and there's certain criteria. So very excited about that. And without further ado, we have some awesome elementary school kids here and staff members with their awesome principal. So how this is going to go, we're going to call up Mr. Matus. He's going to call up the boys and girls. Just follow Mr. Matus's lead. He's going to introduce the kids, the children, and read a little bit about them. After Mr. Matus reads, we actually have a nice certificate and a t-shirt that was created by our own middle school program here. I'm very excited about that. And boys and girls, just when we call you up, you're going to come around, you'll shake everyone's hand, and you'll stand next to me, okay? So very excited, and just for the public to know, this was part of our Raider profile. So the boys and girls, as well as the teachers, had input on what it takes to be a Raider, and very excited that they were nominated from characteristics that they created. So without further ado,
Thank you very much. So yes, we each building, kindergarten through 4, 5, 8, and the high school, we had to answer 3 questions. What are the hopes and dreams and aspirations our community has of our students? What are the skills and mindsets our children need for success in this rapidly changing, complex world? And what actions do successful Raiders demonstrate? And so obviously those answers are going to look different for an elementary building, a middle school building, and a high school building. So board members, I gave each of you a copy there of the Raider profile. that our teachers, they worked together as they thought about our elementary students and how they would answer these questions for our kindergarten through fourth graders. And then before tonight's board meeting, I asked our staff at each grade level to think about their boys and girls, and we really wanted to recognize one student out of the entire grade level for each grade that exemplified each one of these characteristics on here and really answer these questions. So with no further ado, our first student to recognize tonight from kindergarten is Owen Orville. Owen, would you please come on up and stand up here with Mrs. Maynard? Owen is a kindergartner in Mrs. Masucci's class. Mrs. Masucci is here in the back. Owen, we have a little treat for you there if you want to grab one of those. And I'd like to read for you, this is what Mrs. Masucci wrote about Owen. Owen has been a PAX leader since the first day of school. I love his enthusiasm in class and the way in which he takes control of his own learning at centers and during lessons. Approximately 3 weeks into the school year, I had already been setting the stage for literacy, pointing out the way in which words work in class. On that very day after lunch, Owen asked, "Mrs. M, is we spelled W-E?" I knew at that moment that he had already cracked the code for phonics and was well on his way to becoming a reader. I love it when students cross the bridge to becoming readers, but it is even more rewarding when they do it early on in the school year. I can already see that the sky's the limit this year for Owen. Owen is also a natural leader in class. He's a model for kindness and outstanding behavior. He is responsible beyond his years. I can always count on him to help me with anything. He also has the quality of seeing what needs done and doing it without being asked. His work ethic will certainly result in his success in life. Owen, on behalf of myself, your parents, Mr. Matus, Mr. Zapolnik, and the board, we are all very proud of you. You set an outstanding example for your fellow Little Raiders. So congratulations to Owen. Next from first grade is Hayden Truitt. Hayden, come on up, sweetheart. Hayden is in Mrs. Dobro's first grade class. Hayden is the nominee for the October 2023 first grade Raider. Even though it is very early in the school year, it is undeniable that Hayden exemplifies many characteristics of a true Raider. Hayden leads with a quiet and steady example in the classroom. She shows up at school each day with a positive attitude toward her education and with compassion for the people around her. Hayden listens with her eyes, ears, and heart to her teacher and classmates. Because of her listening skills, she has a special awareness of and empathy for others. She is not only dependable in the way she follows directions and works hard at any academic task set before her, but she also has this ability to contribute to the overall well-being of our classroom family. Hayden Truitt is a blessing to her teacher and her friends by the way that she leads by example and takes initiative to help others. For all of these reasons, Hayden Truitt is deserving of the honor of being the October 2023 first grade Raider. All right, treat there. This is Maynard. All right, next is Ravenna Stiles, perfect timing. Ravenna is a second grader in Mrs. Belcastro's class. One of the criteria of the Raider profile is leaders who are good people, who make good decisions, but who also learn from failure and grow from it. Ravenna exemplifies this quality in both her words, actions, and attitude. She exhibits a quiet confidence while remaining humble through both success and failure. Every teacher has that go-to student in their classroom. Ravenna is that student. She always has an encouraging word to share with a classmate when needed. It is a rarity for a student to be at the top of the class while still showing humility and perseverance, and Ravenna does just that. A young person who possesses these qualities and character traits is an exceptional addition to any community. South Range is proud to have Ravenna as a dependable role model for other students to look up to and have the opportunity to emulate her qualities. Congratulations. And finally tonight, Marie Coladruglio, 3rd grade. Marie is in Mrs. Mart's 3rd grade class. Marie is a young lady that truly shows the Raider way. She is a kind and outgoing 3rd grader. She is always willing to help a classmate in academics or even just to be a friend. She takes her studies seriously, being an all-A student, but her humble and grounded attitude makes her a true leader. She was our very first PAX leader this school year, so these characteristics shine through from day one. We are so proud of the Raider you are, and we know you will continue to strive to be the best Raider you can be. Congratulations, Marie.
So at this time, we're gonna pause the meeting, we'll come over here, and parents, we're gonna have pictures with the Board of Education. So I was thinking like the board, we can go here, I kind of move you guys over here, and then parents will take individual pictures. So we'll take a group picture.
We're going to have the teachers come up.
Yeah, absolutely, staff, and then we'll do individual of your child. So if you wanna come up and take pictures, I'm thinking we could go right here so you have room to take pictures. Okay?
Congratulations. So proud of you. Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. Good. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Tease. All right. Parents, feel free. All right. Why don't we do some individuals of the individual with your child and the board? So why don't you stay? You 3 come with me. Board, stay here, please. Here we go, and then you can. And then we're just gonna go down the line. Okay. Good job.
Perfect.
I saw you today in class. Remember, we were working, counting. All right, thank you. And parents, you can join in if you want a picture with your child. Anybody else want pictures? You're good? You guys are good? All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So parents, at this time, if you want to take your children and head out, the rest of the meeting is like administrative type of stuff. So feel free, it's the best part of our day, I promise you. Teachers, thank you so much. Feel free to head out. I appreciate it. Best part of the day. So just moving on with communications. We have Mr. Leandry here to talk about the German trip 2024. I know he has a brief presentation.
Wow, that was too brief. Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I last talked to you in December, and Renate Fahler is my partner in Germany. We've been working toward this. We had like a big roadblock in August, but we overcame that. So I have a little presentation for you. So my opening slide there. Uh-oh, it's running auto setup. Oh, there we go. So, Christian Ernst Gymnasium is a college preparatory high school, and it's in this beautiful old building. On the website, they have an amazing video that shows the kids going through the school and showing all their different things here. But so if you could go to the next slide, here's my clicker. So we're going through a program called GAP. It's run through the Goethe Institute. There's a lot of different facts. So it's over 50 years old. Many schools are within this network. Over 400,000 students have traveled through this GAP program. Typically, the GAP program through the German government supports travelers, teachers, and students alike, and various agencies. So the German Federal Foreign Office and the U.S. State Department are supporters of GAP. So it's a well-respected organization. So some benefits of student exchange. Students learn a lot of things. They see things from a different perspective. This is not, it's not like, no offense to Mr. Lindstrom, he's my walking buddy, and we've also had this talk. He's organizing a tourist trip to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and I've told my kids, I'm like, if you go with Mr. Lindstrom, you're gonna see way more than I can show you. What I'm gonna take you to is a German family to experience culture in a German home, and it's more of a language-based learning experience as opposed to riding in a bus with your American friends and seeing all the sights. Both are equally amazing, but it's apples and oranges. So boosting German language skills, that's one of the main things. Even my virtual exchange that we only did one time at the end of the year has been a great motivator for the kids to start practicing more with their German. Developing leadership, confidence, independence, lifelong friendships, and of course having fun. And the nice thing about this, unlike back in the day when we sent Elka, this is DeCibio, over, she went over, did anyone else go from South Range go?
No, it was just me and
Okay.
Friendship Exchange.
Just her with this friendship connection. They got shipped over in a plane. I got shipped over by myself at age 14 and wound up, my partner picked me up at the airport. This is a little different because they can travel with me. This will be my 7th time to Germany and my 8th time to Europe, so an experienced traveler. So some program benefits of GAP. So basically GAP provides all that teachers need to organize their own trip. So it's not done through a company, therefore it saves money. In red, that's the part that's a little bit shaky right now. Typically GAP subsidizes airfare for the teachers and the students, and they also offer scholarships on the basis of need. However, we got a notice in August that the German government was going to be cutting some funds. So we're not exactly sure what exactly they will offer. We're supposed to find out at the end of this month. So stay tuned for that. But also GAP has partner airlines, Iceland Air and Lufthansa, and also the students are required to buy their own travel insurance. So what I'm looking for tonight is to get on the calendar simply our travel dates, and this is a home and home exchange, so we go there in the summer. Our dates would be roughly the beginning of July, and they would come back in September. And they plan to visit New York City for a few days first, so they won't be here as long as we will be there, since they'll be spending a few days there. I'm working out financing options, or how to do the finances. I talked to Mr. Nero today. I'm talking to the credit union. We're looking at different possibilities. My goal is, and this is this little brochure, to have a parent meeting. I'm going to be sending these home with the students. If things go well, if I have enough interest, then start toward the process with a down payment toward the cost of a flight, and then signing up for the program and hopefully receiving the funding if it's available, especially scholarships. Like for me, the most important would be for a need-based scholarship. If there's a student who's in need and they can receive that money, that would be more important to me than the stipends for the flights. And then families themselves will pay for everything: the flight, transfers, excursions, insurance, spending money, all that. So I'm hoping to keep this under $2,500 per student. So that's very reasonable because we're not staying in hotels. So I have a plan B, and this is what I and Mrs. DeCivio went on. It's called the Friendship Connection. This is more of a family-centered exchange, whereas the GAP is more of a school-centered exchange, where we do like a group project together. We have more group interaction. So in that case, the German students from hopefully the same high school would travel here around the time of our spring break for 3 weeks, and the US students would return around the same time we would go, late June to mid-July. We could request to remain partners with Christian Ernst Gymnasium, but also if students were interested, they could try their luck and try to find a partner in another German city. One of my things is I only have 35 students who are technically eligible, because you have to be in German, you have to be in level 2 or beyond, and I have a total of 35 right now. So if I didn't have that many students, if I didn't have at least probably 8, I might say, let's go for plan B. But it also depends, I'll have to see. So even 1 or 2 students could participate in this Friendship Connection. Students, I probably wouldn't travel with them then, and they are chaperoned from airport to airport by a teacher, and they're picked up by their host families. And then we had this happen here. We had a girl in the 90s who got into trouble, and the next day she was shipped home. So families know that if there's any trouble with this Friendship Connection, they will ship you back. If I make a phone, let's say these people come in April, and I make a phone call, the next day, if that's where it needs to go, they will be gone. So they have a network of teachers and employees that have handled this since the 80s. So, I'm hoping that a lot of factors come to fruition here, that I have enough interest, that we are able to get some funding. My counterpart in Germany, they do a lot of travel within Europe, and most of the teachers' travel is actually paid for, so they're not accustomed to paying themselves. And so that's a factor, depending on if they are provided with some funds for travel, and other various things. But one of the things I worked out, Mrs. Landry is like, I work from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. I can't really host people in my house because I'd want to be cooking and all doing special things. And Brenda Pettit was kind enough to say, I will host, there'd be 2 teachers that would come from Germany, and they could stay at my house. So that was helpful. Are there any questions I can answer for you? No? Okay, listen, I know I talked to Renata today, and I just felt from December on and talking to Jared, he was very excited. It was the first thing we talked about, among other things, when we met in July. And I felt that there was going to be support, and believe me, I greatly appreciate your support. The connections that even we saw in May from one probably 30-minute video chat that we held on an early morning in May, the last week of school. The kids all came in at 7, and we wrapped up before school started. And then I have Mrs. Bailey texting my wife, oh my gosh, my daughter has been Snapchatting with her German partner all day, and they have continued. So I have at least 3 really good connections who want to get together and see each other. So it's been really special. It's been a motivator for the kids. I really appreciate your support. So thank you.
Thank you, good job.
And sorry that I ran long, because it was brief, and I don't even know if I was brief. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Pagnata had just an update with technology.
Technology, we're still working on Verizon. We had an exciting moment last week where a few teachers looked at their phone and all of a sudden they got full bars in Verizon. And then even a student in Mr. Beaver's class came up to him and said, Mr. Beaver, I think something's wrong with my phone. So that's, it was, but we had to be turned off because the 911 location does not work yet. So they're coming this Thursday, hopefully to get that resolved, because legally they can't have it on. 911's going to send them to another place. So that's where we're at with that. potentially good news, in emergency connectivity fund, that's part of that E-rate federal funding we get, that we applied for in 2021. Finally, I got awarded the funds. The problem is the original contract I submitted with that is not accurate. So they're saying, we're committing you this amount, but I need to go out now. It's called post-commitment change. I need to go out now and get that ratified. So I think it will work. I mean, the money's there. It's just federal. It's going to take some time. So, but that is Chromebooks for our staff. Touchscreen, HP Chromebooks, 14-inch screen, and that's what we said we're going to use these funds for. So that's exciting because, of course, it doesn't come out of our funds, our general fund. So that's it for technology maintenance. Thank you.
And for special education, this is DeCivio.
Hello. I have to second how wonderful it is to have the opportunity to be an exchange student. I got to do that through South Range, and it really is a nice opportunity. So it's really great to see that
Thank you.
possibly coming back. So.
Danke.
Yeah. So I'm just going to share right now our special education's rating and profile. We get that every year, and very good news that we have met all of our requirements, and we have no required actions at this time. So here's a copy for everybody to look at. I just wanted to display it also. This really is a credit to the entire school district and the team that supports all of our students. So you can go ahead and look through there. Everything has been met. We received 4 points, which is the highest you could receive. Just gonna scroll this down. And then, just the fact that we don't have any required actions is a wonderful step also. If we wanted to dig a little deeper into, which is something that we do when I meet with the special education team, we would take a look at the special education profile, and I have that here. And this digs a little deeper into data. And one of the areas that we see, we are meeting all the requirements, which is great. We are going to be looking and working with the county on our preschool because there are some indicators that they're just saying, we need to continue to work on and improve. So just wanted to update that good news with everybody and share that.
And part of our Radar Way is to student performance, right? So look at data and utilize interventions to improve. And we're lucky to have Mrs. DeCivio here. She does a fantastic job, and that's one area that we're really looking to get better at GED. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
That's all I have for communications.
Mr. Landry, I'm sure I speak on behalf of the board when we say thank you. It seems like an amazing opportunity for the students, and I know that had to take an incredible amount of your time. It's no small feat to try to set all that up, so thank you.
It's a labor of love, and both Renata and I, she stayed for a year in Wisconsin, and I returned to my host family many times, and it's special. When it clicks, it's special. So I want my students to have that same opportunity. So
Yeah, it's wonderful.
thank you.
So on this new agenda, at this time, prior to going to the consent agenda, we would welcome those for public participation for agenda items only this time. If anyone would like to speak on agenda items for public participation. And if there was none, we would go ahead and move on to the consent agenda with Mr. Nero and Mr. Zapolnik.
I provided you guys with the September financial reports, so if you guys have any questions on that. I just want to highlight, so I was starting to work on the forecast. House Bill 33 was passed, the budget bill, contained the phase-in of the fair school funding plan. And it did update like the cost inputs when they do the calculation of how much per student they'll fund you for, and they go to the state share index. So I'll start looking at that data to see how we compare it to like the guarantee and all that. And also a couple bills we want to pay attention to is House Bill 187 and Senate Bill 153 were introduced. It deals with tax valuation, all that's going around the state. One of the amendments they talked about was adjusting the 20 mil floor, which could potentially affect our tax revenue. We're just approaching the 20 mil floor the last couple of years with our class 1 and class 2 real estate taxes. So any adjustment on that could impact how much tax revenue we got. When I forecasted in May, I forecasted our pass increases, so I'll look at that. So potentially could be getting more or less depending on how some of these bills get voted on. So if you guys have any questions? Then now, that was, over the summer, we implemented the online remote requisition for shorters, so some of these were just timing, that getting approved and all that stuff, so. And it was beyond the threshold I was allowed to approve.
And then we have some personnel, just every year around this time, winter sports, so you can see the wrestling and boys basketball coaches, and their percentage per the negotiated agreement. And also, we have Elizabeth and Sarah for substitutes. Elizabeth can be a sub for aide and sub-secretary, as Sarah was a sub bus driver. And that's all we had for consent items.
So one other item on the consent agenda would be approving the minutes, or included in this would be approving the minutes from the previous, as item A, if there was any adjustments or changes, now would be the time to bring those up. Then in our purchase orders, I think we talked, like the NE8 one, just to reiterate, that was something where we didn't have, kind of have a superseded date that triggered.
Yeah, that's what I talked about, Donnie, that was, they didn't have the meeting till after the dates on the invoice, so they have something on file, wasn't even due on that one.
So no fault of anybody,
That was just-
those are just timing.
Yeah.
Were there any other questions or comments on the consent agenda items? So there's none, we just need a motion to accept those items.
I'll move.
Shelley moves,
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And that takes us to the treasurer's regular agenda. One item.
Yeah, and I know working with Dean, there's some like scrap stuff that he wants to get rid of there, a few bucks. That's just a motion to kind of use those vendors, throughout the year, to approve, get rid of it. So they usually have no value, but you can get, a few bucks for it. So these are some of the vendors he uses.
You wanna go through these and come back, or should we just do it
Just
all?
go through, yeah, just do Mario's and then go to
Yeah, that's
Lynn's.
what we'll do. So we just need a motion to accept the scrap and salvage recycling with the listed companies. Elizabeth moves,
I'll second.
Terry seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now, again, these are items that would not be covered under consent agenda, so Mario just has one item tonight. Now we have a few items in the superintendent's jurisdiction.
So a few out-of-state trips. So the first motion there is 8th grade Washington DC trip. Approving the 8th graders to go to DC and Gettysburg, May 8th through 10th, 2024. Funding source is out of pocket. Students raise the funds themselves.
A motion to approve the 8th grade Washington DC trip.
I'll move.
Terry moves,
I'll second.
Amy seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is for our Board of Education to approve the South Range baseball team for a spring trip to Myrtle Beach. The trip will take place over spring break and the dates are there. Players will travel to and from Myrtle Beach with their parents. They are staying at the Kingston Plantation and play the games at the Cal Rip Gaming Complex. Funding source, student fundraising.
There's no questions about baseball spring trip. A motion to accept that.
I'll move.
Elizabeth moves,
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is the South Range trip for the Grand Strand Classic Tournament. The dates for the team is check-in on Sunday and check-out Friday, April 5th. Funding source is out-of-pocket student fundraising.
So a motion to accept the softball spring trip.
I'll move.
Shelley moves,
I'll second.
Elizabeth seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next are just regular replacement or revised policies. We met with Neola, and she had a whole bunch of these policies to go over, and a lot of the language, the ODE to now DEW, a lot of the language pieces in these policies. So it was a very helpful meeting. I know Mario and I took a lot of time with her to ask questions about but they're pretty prototypical types of revisions.
A lot of these were the ones that they talked about at that meeting that we went to, the legal update, so.
Yep.
Just changing the acronyms.
Yep.
To match what they've changed to.
Yeah.
And these are all available on our board website and there's board policies, so if anybody wants to look those up and see them, they're readily available. So if there's no questions on that, we just need a motion to accept the board policy considerations.
I'll move.
Amy moves.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to the public participation for the non-agenda items. Same procedure as agenda. We ask you to limit it to 2 minutes, and we have a 15-minute cap. I guess at that point, but based on the lack of crowd, I don't think we have to worry about that tonight. And so if there's nothing, we'll move on. The next meeting for the Board of Education, November 15th. Does anybody have any conflicts in their schedule or? So that's nothing we have to approve, that's just so we can kind of get it out there a little bit here in advance. That's the plan, November 15th, 6 p.m., same location. So with that, that completes all the agenda items. At this time, the board, I would need a motion to enter executive session for two items. First, from the ORC 121.22, matters be kept confidential by state law, and the same ORC consideration of the appointment, employment, dismissal, promotion of a public employee. We just need a motion.
I'll move.
Elizabeth moves.
I'll second.
Terry seconds. Shamir, you can call the roll, please.
Elizabeth Johnson.
Yes.
Terry Lally.
Yes.
Shelley Calucci.
Yes.
Amy White.
Yes.
Brian Bagwell.
Yes. So the board enters executive at 6:37 p.m. and there will not be any actions taken after executive. We're going to come in, close it, come back out, close the meeting, and we'll see you next month. So feel free to stick around.
Once I talk to them.
Yeah, I'll wait out. I'll try to.